So your kid's diagnosed with ADHD. You start Googling. One minute you're watching Gabor Mate talk about trauma and the nervous system. The next, Russell Barkley's telling you it's all about brain wiring and genetics. Now you're skimming a New York Times article, scrolling past a TikTok, and then some influencer on Instagram confidently says it's just a B12 deficiency. As a parent, you're left wondering, what is actually going on? Does my kid really have ADHD? Yes, probably, but also maybe no. And here's what I mean by that. How diagnosis really works. Mental health diagnoses are based on symptoms, not causes. Why? Because human beings are incredibly complex. It's almost impossible to say that one single thing causes us to behave a certain way. If your child is one of the 11% of children diagnosed with ADHD, this means that a psychiatrist or psychologist has found that your kid meets enough of the diagnostic criteria to qualify for the disorder. Now, some of those criteria involve subjective judgment. But for the sake of argument, let's say your child very clearly has all the symptoms. So when you ask, does my kid really have ADHD? Well, do they show the symptoms? Because then technically the answer is yes. But that's not really the question most parents are asking. What they often really are asking is this an innate, unchangeable disposition that my child just has to live with its own strengths and weaknesses? Or is this something that can change? And that's really a much harder and much more important question. What science tells us about causes. Here's what we do know. ADHD is highly heritable. If a parent has ADHD, their child has about a 50% chance of being diagnosed. Twin studies show that if one identical twin has ADHD, the other usually does too, even when raised in different environments. But here's the nuance. There isn't one easily identifiable gene for ADHD. Instead, research shows that many small genetic differences add up to increase an individual's overall risk. The role of environment and why it matters. I'm not here to dispute genetic research, but my doctoral research focuses on something different. It's about early relationships and how they shape attention. Let me give you an example. My friend Megan has a rescue dog, Wilbur. Wilbur has separation anxiety. The second Megan reaches for her keys, he goes into full panic mode, pacing, whining, tearing up the rug, barking, total meltdown. But as soon as she picks him up, he settles almost instantly. Humans aren't that different. When we feel anxious or disconnected, it's almost impossible to focus. Humans work the same way. When we feel safe and connected, our nervous system settles. And when that happens, our attention improves. The hidden environmental stressors that worsen ADHD. Even a neurotypical brain struggles to focus in a stressful environment. So when a child already has vulnerabilities, genetic or otherwise, those stressors can really stack up. Under 8 hours of sleep per night can lead to a 2 times increase in ADHD-like symptoms. Just 2 hours of screen time per day at ages 2 to 3 predicts a 7.7 times higher risk of attention problems by age 5. Kids who get too little physical activity are twice as likely to struggle with focus and self-regulation. So, can it change? If your child has ADHD, I'm not here to discourage medication. It can be life-changing for many kids. But I am here to encourage you to take a holistic look. How are their relationships? Their nutrition? How often do they spend time on their phone? Are they getting enough sleep? Enough movement? Are their days predictable or kind of constantly chaotic? Here's the good news. There are multiple evidence-based strategies for ADHD, from physical activity to parent training to classroom support. But every positive shift, whether it's better sleep, more play, less conflict, or stronger connection, helps your child's brain work with them, not against them.